Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All wishes to Sri Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Chit Prabhuji, when you're ready, you can start Prabhuji with prayers.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Naruttamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tattva Jayamudire Nashtapraishu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naisthiki Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 62, Text 17 through 33. Text 17. Chitralekha said, I will remove your distress. If he is to be found anywhere in the three worlds, I will bring this future husband of yours who has stolen your heart. Please show me who he is. Oh, I'm so sorry. Started with the 16. Okay, so now 17. Saying this, Chitralekha proceeded to draw accurate pictures of various demigods, Gandharvas, Siddhas, Charanas, Panagas, Daityas, Vidyadharas, Yakshas, and humans. 18 to 19. O king, among the humans, Chitralekha drew pictures of the Vrishnis, including Surasena, Anakandanuvi, Balarama, and Krishna. When Usa saw the picture of Pradyumna, she became bashful, and when she saw Aniruddha's picture, she bent her head down in embarrassment. Smiling, she exclaimed, He's the one, it's him. Text 20. Chitralekha, endowed with mystic powers, recognized him as Krishna's grandson, Aniruddha. My dear king, she then traveled by the mystic skyway to Dwaraka, the city under Lord Krishna's protection. Text 21. There she found Pradyumna's son Aniruddha sleeping upon a fine bed. With her yogic power, she took him away to Snotipura, where she presented her girlfriend Usha with her beloved. Text 22. When Usha beheld him, the most beautiful of men, her face lit up with joy. She took the son of Pradyumna to her private quarters, which men were forbidden even to see, and there enjoyed with him. Text 23 to 24. Usha worshipped Aniruddha with faithful service, offering him priceless garments along with garlands, fragrances, incense, lamps, sitting places, and so on. She also offered him beverages, all types of food, and sweet words. As he thus remained hidden in the young lady's quarters, Aniruddha did not notice the passing of the days, but his senses were captivated by Usha, whose affection for him ever increased. 25 to 26. The female guards eventually noticed unmistakable symptoms of romantic involvement in Usha, who, having broken her maiden vow, was being enjoyed by the Yadu hero and showing signs of conjugal happiness. The guards went to Banasura and told him, O king, we have detected in your daughter the kind of improper behavior that spoils the reputation of a young girl's family. Text 27. We have been carefully watching over her, never leaving our post, O master, so we cannot understand how this maiden, whom no man can even see, has been corrupted within the palace. Text 28. Very agitated to hear of his daughter's corruption, Banasura rushed at once to the maiden's quarter. There he saw the pride of Yadus, Aniruddha. Text 29 to 30. Banasura saw before him the Cupid's own son, possessed of unrivaled beauty, with dark blue complexion, yellow garments, lotus eyes, and formidable arms. His face was adorned with effulgent earrings and hair, and also with smiling glances. As he sat opposite his most auspicious lover, playing with her at dice, there hung between his arms a garland of spring jasmines that had been smeared with kumkuma powder from her breast when he had embraced her. Banasura was astonished to see all this. Text 31. Seeing this, Banasura enter with many armed guards. Aniruddha raised his iron club and stood resolute, ready to strike anyone who attacked him. He resembled death personified, holding his rod of punishment. Text 32. As the guards converged on him from all sides, trying to capture him, Aniruddha struck them just as the leader of a pack of boars strikes back at dogs. Hit by his blows, the guards fled the palace, running for their lives with shattered heads, thighs, and arms. Text 33. But even as Aniruddha was striking down the army of Bana, the powerful son of Bali angrily caught him with the mystic Nagapasa ropes. When Usha heard of Aniruddha's capture, she was overwhelmed with grief and depression. Her eyes filled with tears and she wept. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much, Achyut Prabhu, for reading the translations. Yeah, Hare Krishna, Chaitanya Chandra Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. And whenever you're ready, you can please start, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Chit Prabhu, for reading the translations today. Thank you, Sundaram Prabhu, for giving me the opportunity to purify my tongue and serve the Vaishnavas. And thank you, dear devotees, for taking your time out this Friday morning to come here from Srimad Bhagavatam. We'll start by offering my prayers. Om Kyantimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Tam karoti vachalam panghum langayate kirim yad kripatamaham vande Shri Gurutin Taranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So we are reading the chapter where it said Usha meets Anirudh. In this chapter, just to give a brief background, we have seen what has happened thus far is Banasur, who's one of the sons of Bali Maharaj. He worships his Ishtadevta, Shivji, and he pleases him and is awarded 1,000 alms. And with that, after using those alms to place, to serve Lord Shiva by playing drums and for his pleasure, for him to perform the dance, he then wants to pick up a fight. So then he complains to Lord Shiva that even though I'm so powerful, I have nobody to fight with. And in that particular way, Lord Shiva says that, oh, you become so proud. So I curse you that soon you will find some person who's going to not even fight with you, but just defeat you and be the cause of your end. So in this particular way, that curse is given by Lord Shiva, and then this story begins to unfold, where Banasur's daughter Usha is. We've heard from the last talk how she was having dreams about this man, and turns out to be that this person is. We'll find out today who this person is in this discussion. So in text 17, it goes on to say that one of Usha's friends or maidservants, Chitralekha, she was endowed with much mystic powers. So when Usha was describing her dreams of who she's seeing, who this person is, who she's interacting with, this particular friend who had mystic powers called Chitralekha, she began to draw many, many pictures of various personalities that she knew of or she was inspired of. So she drew various demigods, Gandharvas, Siddhas, Charans, and it's described here, as well as she drew some humans, including Surasen, Anakdundubi, Balram, and Krishna. And then when she drew the picture of Pradyumna, then Usha became bashful, recognizing her as the father-in-law. And then when she drew the picture of Anirudh, then she became embarrassed and exclaimed, "Yes, he is the one." Then they identified that it is Anirudh who is in the dreams of Usha. And then it is said that by her mystic powers, Chitralekha, who in one purport it is it is explained that she's actually considered to be one of the expansions of Yoga Maya. So she was able to transport or teleport from where they were in Shonitapur to Dwarka and then bring Anirudh back. We've seen how Yogamaya has done this in the past. We've seen the appearance of Sri Balaramji, who's also known as Sankarshan, because he was transferred from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Mother Rohini. So we know that this is in this way you can understand this is the same expansion of Yogamaya. Now, rest of the story that follows, it's when one reads that story, when we just heard about that story, the particular incident that happened, sometimes with our material understanding, we get baffled. We're like, what is the story doing in Srimad Bhagavatam? There is this person who's coming in to Usha's private quarters, and they are not even married, but they're still, living together. And what is going on over here? So, but I'm going to discuss a few points that we understand and give you a background of what this happened. So, in this whole pastime that we've discussed in the past couple of days, what we have seen is that, like I mentioned earlier, that there is this Bali Maharaj's son, such a wonderful devotee, a Mahajan's son, Banasur. He wanted to please and serve Lord Shiva. So his intention was to please and Lord Shiva, but with that in that intention and desire, he requests for those 1,000 arms, and he plays such wonderful music for Lord Shiva to perform his dance. So, but it is very, very important to understand. My Guru Maharaj says one thing, that the road to hell is often paved with good intentions. So that what that means is oftentimes we want to do something that's right. Our intention is right, but somewhere down the line, people get lost and people make mistakes. So what happened to Banasur, and that is really the crux of the story, is when Banasur got those 1,000 arms. Initially he used it in the service of Lord Shiva, but then he wanted to use it for his own gratification. He wanted to show his own prowess in battle, in warfare. So he was itching for a fight, is how it's described in Bhagavatam. So now he became proud of the prowess, the boon given by Lord Shiva. And that, dear devotees, is where the mistake happened in the story. Guru Maharaj also says that when somebody has pride in their heart, that means that they have already fallen down. Rest, what happens after that, are just the details of how he has fallen down. That is why this whole episode that we are seeing in this, we read today in this discussion of how Anirudh came to meet Usha in their private quarters, and they were, enjoying with each other. And then, we see Banasur comes and, he finds out this whole episode. The reason why this episode is happening is because the Banasur's punishment is already been destined, and these are just the details of how it's going to happen. Now, how is his punishment destined? because if you look at the last couple in the shlokas, it is said that even Banasur was very impressed when he walked into the room and looked at Anirudh. He says, it is said that he understood that, oh, such a beautiful personality. My daughter, she was so smart that she chose such a beautiful and able personality like Anirudh. It's a good match between them. So he would have been normally very happy. So in normal circumstances, in order for this destiny of Usha and Anirudh to be together, Banasur would have approached Pradyumna or the father-in-law or Lord Krishna and said, we want your or daughter's hand, we want your son in for marriage for our daughter. In that way, they would have an amicable relationship between in-laws. But because Banasur had pride in his heart, and he had fallen down, the same destined relationship was going to become the cause of his demise. And that is why, to make him angry so that a battle can happen. Normally, you would not fight with your in laws, but the whole purpose behind this description that we are reading today is to create anger in the mind of Banasur, so that the battle can happen and then Lord Krishna will come and defeat Banasur. So that is what we are seeing is actually just the details of what happens after pride has come into our heart. Now, what should we do with pride when pride comes into our heart? So when I was in ISKCON, Kolkata, many, many years ago, I had heard in a lecture, and I still remember this principle the devotees had taught. It's a principle called the hot potato principle. So if when you work in a kitchen and when you boil some potatoes and you take a potato out and you're peeling the potato and it's very hot. So you don't want to drop it because you're peeling it and it becomes unclean, but you can't let go also. So then you pass it to somebody else. And then he after a while he peels something and he passes to somebody else. So like this, if we pass a few times, then it becomes cool down. So so whenever you get any prowess, whenever you get any praise, any what we call prashansa, it's best to pass it on to somebody else. And that is actually the position, but it is a good exercise that we can do, that whenever we get any credit for any service that we may do, for any activity we may do, we can pass it on to our fellow devotees without whom it would not be possible. We would pass on the credit to our Guru Varga, our Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, and all our Shiksha Gurus that we have learned so much from. Because the truth is, it is only because of them that we are being used as an instrument in the service of Sri Krishna. So the truth is that there is nothing, no promise of ours. It is all through them, their mercy, that we have been selected to be used to perform a particular task. So the credit truly and truly belongs to them. So in this particular way, we can tackle this pride, anartha of pride that comes into our heart. That is what Banasur did not realize, and that is what mistake he made. And then, in order to get punished for the mistake, we see what happened. Actually, so that's the first mistake Banasur made. The second mistake Banasur made, he could have been proud and gone around and started beating animals and beating other powerful entities, but with his pride, he challenged Lord Shiva. The second mistake Banasur made, and hence the result, because by we are seeing the story unfold, this difficult to understand pastime in Bhagavatam, is because Banasur, after he became proud, he insulted he challenged Lord Shiva. So he created Vaishnava Aparadha, an offense. So immediately when Lord Shiva also realized this, that he's become proud and he's creating Vaishnava Aparadha, Lord Shiva gives him this curse that soon you're going to meet somebody who's strong enough and who's going to be the cause of your demise. So there's another example that we have to learn from this incident about the importance of avoiding Vaishnava Aparadha. Because whenever we do Vaishnava Aparadha, Krishna is not happy with us. So when Banasur offended Lord Shiva, Krishna decided at that time that this is the time of death for Banasur. So anytime we offend a Vaishnava, sometimes in our service we may offend a Vaishnava. We may, do something knowingly or unknowingly that may hurt somebody. But as soon as we come to know or we realize that we have hurt somebody, especially a devotee, we should immediately seek forgiveness. Because in our hearts, we should understand that if that person, he's a devotee, he's very, very dear to Krishna, if he is not happy, Krishna will not be happy with us. If we can keep this understanding within our consciousness, that unless that person's happy, Krishna will not be happy with us, then we can immediately rectify any knowing or unknowing Vaishnava aparadha that we have done. So because Banasur had pride in his heart and he created Vaishnava aparadha, Vaishnava offense, hence his demise was destined. And like I explained, to facilitate his demise, there had to be a situation created where he would be angry and pick up a fight with Lord Krishna. And in order to facilitate that anger, we are seeing the whole story that's described over here, how both Usha and Anirudh, although it seems that they were a good match for each other, they come together in a un-Vedic way of meeting before marriage and breaking the rules and regulations in order to facilitate Banasur's anger and the pastime of the deliverance of Banasur. So I hope that helps us understand. On the face of it, this looks like a romantic story, and like I said, we wonder why it's there in Bhagavatam. But the understanding behind it is to facilitate the anger and the Leela that's going to come, where Lord Krishna will deliver Banasur. So in this particular way, so we see another important point that we can understand from this particular exchange that happened. Again, understanding that it's only a Leela for a particular purpose that I just discussed. But another thing that we can understand is when we are in Grihastha ashram and we stay with other near and dear loved ones, we have to be careful to not develop too much attachment to them. Our understanding should always be that they are Krishna's devotees. My spouse, my children, my parents, they're all Krishna's devotees who have been given the opportunity to serve. And the service is not to satisfy their senses, but the service is to enable them to engage in Krishna consciousness. If we just go on and satisfying their senses, that I have to keep my kids happy, I have to keep them happy, and only focus on that, then we will get into the trap. And in the Krishna Leela, there's a wonderful description of how the different demons who come to Vrindavan, they are representatives of different anarthas. And His Holiness Bhakti Samit Maharaj had said in a talk that the demon Pralambasur, if you remember the pastime of Pralambasur, when he comes in, he takes the form of a gopa, and he wanted to fight with Krishna and Balram, so he takes the form of a gopa, and all the other gopas think he's just another gopa only, not realizing that he's actually a demon. So when we get too much attached in sense gratification for our near and dear loved ones, then it is like Pralambasur. So it is not actually a near and dear loved ones, but we are interacting with Pralambasur in disguise. And that Pralambasur in disguise, that attachment towards excessive attachment towards our near and dear ones, so that we forget our bhakti, we forget our spiritual responsibilities and Krishna consciousness, and just engage fully in their sense gratification, that will destroy our bhakti, like Pralambasur came to destroy Krishna. But in that particular way, if we understand that we are meant to serve our family and engage them in Krishna consciousness, help them in Krishna consciousness, yes, it is quite possible that little bit of sense gratification may be necessary as a means to keep them engaged in Krishna consciousness. As long as that is the goal, then we'll be staying happy. We can stay happily with our family, and everybody can remember Krishna. There are so many things that we can do with our families to help them. And one of the things I was recently read in a lecture by His Holiness Sachinandan Swami Maharaj about the power of hearing and power of reading. So what is the right way to read and hear? So the first thing is Shravanam. The second is Mananam. Mananam also means repeating. Repeating, introspecting on what you have read and what you have heard. So when we hear something, we hear a lecture, we read a book, all these are personal exercises that we all should be doing individually based on whatever time of day that we get. But when we do those personal exercises, then we should try to introspect or do mananam on our own, but also we can do that with our family members. I listen to lectures when I drive to work and when I come back. So when I come back, oftentimes I will discuss with Rashchandra and say, I heard this lecture today, and at this point I've never heard before. Or this point, I really resounded with me that this is amazing. This point, we should always keep this in our consciousness. So in that particular way, you can engage your family not in sense gratification, but in Krishna Katha. And when you engage your family in Krishna Katha, then naturally your home and atmosphere will become spiritualized. So in this particular way, we can avoid this anartha of excessive attachment to our near and dear loved ones. So these are the few learning points that, again, with my limited understanding, I could understand from this thing, and I hope it helps us, continue to appreciate this leela of how Lord Krishna is going to deliver Banasur in the next few discussions. With this, dear devotees, I'll end my discussion today. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavind ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you.
Thank you so much, Chaitanya Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.